Welcome to The Archive Speaks, a podcast from the Refugee Archive. In this series, we document the journeys of refugee women who lead households, rebuild communities, and carry stories that often go unheard. These oral histories reflect the personal memories and truths of those who tell them, shaped by time, trauma, and resilience. The Refugee Archive holds space for these voices, without political alignment or editorial interference. In our first episode with Ataa, we explored her life before the war, her university days, her friendships, and the everyday rhythms of home. In this second episode, we begin with the moment that changed everything. The day Ataa was shot, not on the front lines, but while walking home from university with a friend. It marked the end of normal life and the start of a long journey toward displacement. Through Ataa's voice, we follow what came next. This episode is a map of that journey. This is the story of how she left Syria and how she arrived, wounded but determined, at the edge of something entirely unknown. Due to the remote terrain and field recording conditions, portions of this interview have been dubbed and translated into English for clarity.
So it was the day when I was going back from my university. That day I was crossing the street. I was going to the library with my friend. We were trying to do our normal life by going to the university, going to the school, our jobs. So I was in my university at the time. Since I was going back, I wanted to go and buy a dictionary from French language from a library with my friend. And that time I suddenly got a sniper and I was shot without any recognizing for everything. We were really so happy that time. We were going and walking in the streets and we were laughing so much. And I think we were like, no one can imagine, like butterflies. Suddenly we heard a voice and I looked around because what's going on and who is that? My friend just told me, I thought you have blood in your chest. And then when I put my hand on my chest and saw the blood, it was trauma and I couldn't keep standing. So I just fall down on the ground. And then my friend got the same shot after it crossed my back. She started to shout loudly and she was able to run away. This is what happened. I fall on the ground. That time I thought it was literally done because I thought that I'm dead completely. I was just looking around me trying to find anyone, but there were no more people in the same street. I looked in the other side, on the next side of the street. I saw some people running fast and they were looking at me, but at the same time they can't come to me because it's dangerous when you are shot and when you are in the ground. Because this time the person who shot me, he is observing the street and he is observing because he wants to know and he wants to get more people, I think.
No one came to help at first, so I stayed like this, crying. Then I started to lose my voice because I was shot in the neck. I tried to move to the safer part of the street by dragging myself with my knees, and I was hoping people could rescue me if I was hidden.
And then I remember a man came with his friend and by his car, and they took me to the hospital.
After being shot, Ataa was rushed to a small medical facility, not a formal hospital, but a field clinic. With the rising conflict, many government hospitals were either inaccessible or unsafe, leading communities to convert private homes into field clinics with limited equipment and no real infrastructure. A World Health Organization assessment from 2012 found that only 50% of hospitals in Syria remained operational due to destruction, staff shortages, and lack of medical supplies. Human rights groups also reported that doctors were being systematically targeted by the regime for treating wounded protesters. Patients were reportedly tortured inside both public and private hospitals, and some were even pulled from operating rooms by security forces. In this environment, underground clinics like the one that treated Ataa became the only option for many.
This hospital for normal people, it's not a government, a national hospital. And then I remember they started to ask me who did that and where were you going or who was with, and I couldn't answer them because I lost my voice.
I didn't write my father's or my brother's number, by the way, because I was afraid of my brother.
Because he warned me many times, Ataa, don't go to the university because it's really dangerous and we are wanted, because my brother was with the against people group.
My brother always warned me that our family is wanted by the Al-Assad regime because he was against the regime.
So I just had my sister's husband's phone number and they called him and he told my mom, and then my mom came to me. I had two brothers, but the other one is younger than me, so he wasn't in the against group people. Just my old brother, he's older than me 3 years. Tamam. He joined the against people group, and they were fighting against Al-Assad regime. So that was the one who warned me, who asked me many times to not go to the university. Even when I told him I have exams, I can't be absent of my exams. I don't care about the Assad regime. I don't care even about any groups. He didn't like that and he warned me. So that's why at that time I didn't want to tell him directly because I was so afraid of his reaction. So I told my sister's husband because he was all the time supporting me and he wants me to continue my education, and he helped me many times, even financially. Because as I told you, I didn't have a rich family and sometimes I needed money for my university. And
my sister and her husband were very supportive of me. So my sister's husband is the one I call.
When I was in the hospital, when my mom came to me, sometimes I really don't want to remember her reaction because she started crying and shouting. And she literally said, we told you not to go to the university, but you did it. And now you can see the result. And yes, and that time, the doctors and the nurses calm her down and say, it's okay, she is fine, nothing dangerous happened, and she will be okay in maybe 2 weeks. Don't worry. And we stayed in this hospital for 4 hours, I remember. I stayed 4 hours, but when she came, she stayed maybe more, 1 hour, and then we get back to our house. So the hospital, as I said, wasn't big and huge. And this hospital was not for the government, was not for anyone. For example, the soldiers of Al-Assad can't go to this hospital. It was just a small hospital. People those against group created it. Let me describe more about this. It was just like a room in a house for one of these against group.
For example, one of the people from the opposition group would turn a room in his house into a makeshift hospital, bringing in some equipment and basic medical supplies.
Maybe some beds for surgeries.
Only small surgeries?
Not huge surgeries. We have a small place. We call it, in Arabic, we say صيدلية منزلية, like a pharmacy in your house. For example, when you are wounded,
if someone was wounded, we had basic supplies, some adhesive bandages, nothing more.
It was just small and simple medicine for anyone when he is wounded.
The treatment was limited to basic first aid, scissors, medical plaster, a course of antibiotics, and anti-inflammatory pills. Standard supplies from a simple home care kit.
And this is why my family decided to bring me here, because they thought that here in Jordan I will get a great medicine treatment. They thought I will get more treatment in Jordan. That's why. I really didn't get more treatment.
It's not a very sophisticated clinic, so they only stitched and sterilized my wound. They also gave me some painkillers antibiotics, anti-inflammatory pills, and blood thinners. Makeshift hospitals or field clinics are exclusive to the wounded Syrians, made by people who were opposing the regime. Because if they send me to a regular hospital and they realize I am wounded by the military, they might finish the job thinking that I'm a rebel. There was no other patient aside from me because there are multiple field clinics and each clinic only has 3 or 4 beds.
So that's why in each makeshift hospital, you can just find 3 or 4 beds because it's just a small room. It's not huge. It wasn't designed, well organized. It was just made by some people and they just brought the necessary medicine treatment for people. In case they had a wounded person from the against group.
Ataa recalls the time when Syria's military and security forces controlled movement through a dense network of checkpoints, especially around Damascus.
My dad actually didn't come to visit me because he was a man, and they said that if he crossed the borders, we had many borders from my home to my university area. Soldiers from Al-Assad regime, they have tanks.
In these checkpoints, they have weapons, and they would stop everyone and every car to check their IDs.
And they would stop, take his ID and take his full name. And if they found that this person's name was included in their list, they will take him. And then, unfortunately, no one will know what will happen with him. Maybe he will die and he will be in the prison and the jail. And maybe they will kill him and they will do many bad things with him. So that was the reason why my dad didn't come to see me in the makeshift hospital. And my relatives decided just to send my mom alone with the taxi driver.
The taxi driver was from my area and he was my friend's dad. He knows me, and he always talked about how smart I was.
He was all the time saying that she is a doctor. She was gonna be a doctor one day. Because when he saw me, he was really so sad too. And he was saying all the time, all the way, that she doesn't deserve that. Because she just wanted to study. She wanted just to go to the university. She didn't do anything bad to them. So yes, my mom was the only one to visit me.
And then they decided to bring me to Jordan. It was not the doctor's decision.
I haven't seen the doctors after that.
My neighbor, who was a nurse, visited me daily at home to give me injections and check on my wound.
So it was not the doctor. The decision was from my uncle, and he was here in Jordan. Then my other uncle was in Kuwait, and my mom and dad. We didn't tell all my sisters, as I said. My sister husband was the only one who knew that time. And I asked him not to tell his wife that time.
My sisters found out about it 2 days before I was set to leave for Jordan.
So my sisters didn't know immediately about my wound, about my shot.
As conflict spread, universities became sites of repression. Governments and militias surveilled, detained, and even tortured students. At Damascus University, the National Union of Syrian Students, aligned with the regime, was accused of human rights violations. In that atmosphere, even obtaining a degree became a danger. For women like Ataa, driven, unprotected, and wounded, the journey toward an education became a journey toward displacement.
So yes, I didn't want to get to Jordan. I rejected the idea completely that time. I didn't want to go and live in a camp because I really had a very beautiful life. Even my house, not that huge, but it was really simple and I had everything I wanted. I have my friends and I have my university. I didn't want to stop and just go to live in a camp. I was so stubborn that time.
I had a difficult argument with my brother who blamed me for being shot. saying it happened because I insisted on going to university despite the uprising in Syria.
Even the professors don't go to the universities nowadays.
It was my brother's idea to take me to Jordan, and I didn't agree with him that time.
And by the way, he didn't come with us to Jordan at all. Imagine that. He just wanted me to come here. He said that it's really less dangerous for you. And he stayed in our house to protect it, and because he was fighting against Al-Assad. So yes, it was the beginning. And I remember when I came here, I was crying, wallah, from the first moment when we left our house until we reached here, the Zaatari Camp. Because I was all the time telling my mom that it was because of you. You didn't defend me. You didn't defend your daughter. You didn't tell him that she wants to continue her university and she wants to keep study with her friends. And she was so kind with me. She was so nice, and she was assuring me that don't worry, we will be back just 1 month until you are completely okay, until you recover. And this is what happened.
Only 4 of us came to Jordan. Me, my dad, my mom, and my younger brother.
And my brother didn't reject at all.
He was assuring me that it will be fine and we'll have friends there.
People say that it's good, it's not bad.
Since 2011, over 13 million Syrians have been displaced by war, the largest refugee crisis of our time. Most didn't leave through formal checkpoints or organized evacuations. Like Ataa, they fled in overloaded trucks, carrying only what they could. In this segment, she describes her family's escape: a small bag with documents, daily medication, and more than 15 people packed into an open trailer. Her journey reflects what became the norm for so many, leaving not just homes, but identities behind.
For the preparation, it was the small bag with my papers and my certificates from my secondary school, my ID, my card of my university, my books, especially my French dictionary that I bought when I was shot that time. And also simple clothes. So my mom prepared some stuffs from the kitchen. I remember we brought the heater to cook. And my brother also brought his shoes. They brought me some medicine pills because I need to have them daily twice. We didn't brought many things, actually, because the way we came here wasn't a good way. People just have to come by a car, but this car is not enough for more than 4 people. We were more than 15 people in the car. This car has 2 parts. The first part with the driver. Behind the driver, you can have 2 seats after the driver. And these seats was for me and my mom because uncle told them that she needs to relax. So people don't have seats. They don't have chairs.
So it's a truck with an open trailer, and the people are standing at the back of this open trailer.
So it's a big car. So for me and my mom, we had seats, but for other people, like my brother and my dad and the other 12 people, or maybe more, were just in the other part, which is uncovered and opened. This is the way we came to the Zaatari. We did came by a beautiful bus because this route is not legal. The normal families, most of the Syrian people, they are against. They are normal, but they are not agreeing with the government, with the Al-Assad regime. So you can say that the typical people who are against Al-Assad. Yeah. I wasn't literally against anyone, but I was included with my family. I was in my beginning of my 4th year, in the first semester. I think maybe 21 or 20. Because when I got married, I was 22, I think. I remember that.
I didn't see or talk to anyone around this time because it's very dangerous to show the government that I was wounded. We believed they would finish the job if they saw me.
We were considered as against them.
This is why they brought me illegally this way. This is the way most of the people in Zaatari Camp came to Jordan.
You can't imagine when we came. I remember when I was looking at other cars. It was so huge. You can't imagine. It had plenty of people, more than 50 people. And all of them was completely full. From my area to the Zaatari Camp, maybe it was like, you can say, a full day, like day and night, because
we left the house around 8 or 9 p.m., but the journey took an entire day.
We just reached here in the Zaatari, you can say 12, yes. I remember when I was looking back, those people, I was seeing them, they were so happy. They were talking and they were laughing together because I was looking from the window and I could see them. I was looking in my mom's eyes and I can see that she is not that completely happy because she thought that this is not completely the good decision that they took for their daughter. But I just to not make her guilty completely, and I tried to smile, but not from the depth of my heart. Believe me, I tried to smile, but I couldn't. So that's why I went into crying every time. I tried to not show her, but unfortunately, she was sitting next to me. So she was watching me.
Out an airstrike inside Syria for the first time in more than 5 years. But there are conflicting accounts of what was the target. Now, regional security sources quoted by the Reuters news agency say that Israeli aircraft attacked a convoy of trucks carrying weapons towards the border with Lebanon.
A second day of aerial strikes on Syrian towns near the Turkish border is continuing to cause chaos.
In 2013, around the time Ataa's family was leaving for Jordan, Syria saw escalating violence from multiple sides. Civilians fleeing to Jordan often traveled along dangerous routes, where convoys were sometimes caught in airstrikes or roadside attacks. Ataa recalls passing one such scene.
I remember when we left our area, I remember that we saw a car, and this car was completely exploded, got a bomb, and I saw the scene. I can't forget that scene because it was a dead man, and the car was covered with blood, and the street was completely, I don't know how can explain that, but it was like a bomb and a car, and people started to say, oh, what happened? This regime, this Bashar al-Assad couldn't keep anyone to live, and they were cursing him all the way while I was just remembering my life in my area and crying and thinking, what if I didn't get back to my university and to Syria? I also remember we had a rest stop here, and I remember there were a house. This house was for one of those people who guided us, and we paid for them to bring us to Jordan. It was an empty house, but it has a bathroom, it has a kitchen, but the kitchen didn't have anything for eat. We just stopped there, went to the bathrooms, we washed our faces, we prayed. I remember we prayed, me and my mom together, and we spent about 1 hour there, walked with my brother, and we talked about our life in Syria. And I asked him, why did we come here? And he said, don't worry for everything. I think we will be happy. It's better than staying in Syria nowadays because this Bashar al-Assad. At that house, when we stopped there for 1 hour, people brought with them some food. Some people gave us food because they know more than us. And they brought some food like yogurt, like lebne. Syria, we say lebne, some milk juice. Yeah, simple food. And I remember they gave us.
We were so grateful to them that time because there were no stores around us.
My mom brought some rice with us. She thought that we won't get food immediately when we get the camp. So I remember lentil. Yes, she brought lentils and rice and some burger also for the beginning of our life here, because maybe we will not get food immediately when we get to the Zaatari camp, and we need to manage the situation there by anything, even these things, simple things. Because that time the Zaatari camp was not organized completely. People were just living on simple food, the small food that the Jordanian government were giving them. And then after the full hour, we just resumed our way and we continue moving. And I remember at the beginning of the evening, we reached Jordan, but not completely to the Zaatari camp. It was the borders from Syria and Jordan. And it was really very amazing. Do you know when you have two lives or two situations, like you have in your left, you have this life, and in the right side, you have completely different life?
So it felt like going to a completely different life when we crossed the borders between Syria and Jordan.
And that time, I just was looking at my mom and crying. At the same time, people were so happy because we are here now and we finally reached Jordan. When we were about to reach the Zaatari camp, I started to see many trucks from the other side, coming from many areas, not just from my area. From my area, we didn't see many cars, but when we were close to the Zaatari camp, I started to see many or more than 2 or 3 trucks. And as I told you, they were really huge trucks, were completely full with people. And when I was looking at them, I was just like saying, they come here this way. I was afraid they will make accident because it was really heavy, because it was full with many people, more than, maybe you can say, more than 70 or 100 people, maybe. Of course, with their families, with their kids. I remember they said because of the huge number of people, and they were concentrating on registration, and they know that people will guide me. People who came before us know more than us. So that's what happened.
By mid-2013, Zaatari Camp in Jordan had become one of the largest refugee settlements in the world. Designed for 60,000 people, it was hosting nearly twice that, with thousands arriving each week. Overcrowded intake centers struggled to register new families, often asking them to sleep on site for days at a time. In this section, Ataa describes her family's first days in the camp, the delays, the shared spaces, and the moment her injury made her a special case.
We needed many papers and many things here in the camp, and they really wanted us to stay and to sleep in these centers. There were many centers for the newcomers. The number that time was so huge, and those people who are in the centers, they were not able to schedule to enroll all of these people. So that's why they asked them to sleep, to stay for 1 day or 2 days or even more than 3 days just for the registration. So they asked us to stay, and we don't have the ability to register, and we had to sleep randomly with these people. But we were lucky because those people who were with us had already a family here, came before him weeks ago, and he is my uncle friend. That's why he asked us, and he said, I'm not going to sleep here because I have my relatives here, and please, because you have a wounded girl and your daughter can't sleep this way with those people, and she is single, and she is welcome to come with me and sleep with me in my relatives' home. We went with them to his relatives, and they were so nice people. They welcomed us, and we stayed with them for the first night. When we arrived to that man's relative's house, they said, you can go tomorrow to the hospital. And the woman was so nice, and she said, I will take you to the hospital, and then I will register you, and they will continue your treatment completely. And they are nice people, because the Zaatari camp that time, I remember it has more than 4 hospitals, and those hospitals were from different countries. For example, I remember the hospital I went there was Moroccan, from Morocco doctors, and then we had the French hospital, and we had the Syrian hospital, and we had the Italy also, from Italy. By the way, the Italy hospital is the only one who are still so far here in the Zaatari camp. Most of these doctors went back to their countries. Yeah, they didn't take me immediately to the hospital. And then in the morning, we came to the registration centers to do these registration things. And we had to do these things to give us the ID, the cards. And then I remember when we came, everyone got a ID as a refugee. And we got a big paper that included our names, like number for our family. And then they gave us some food and some stuffs for the kitchen. For example, each person 2 dishes, 1 spoon, 1 knife. They gave us 3 big pans to use them for cooking, stuffs for the daily life. I remember they also gave us a blanket for each one to use it for sleeping. And the most important thing that gave us was a tent for the family, because the first time people didn't get caravans. So they were sleeping and they were living in tents. It wasn't big actually. It was so frustrated at the first time because I was looking at these stuffs. I was really sad and I was really angry. I didn't want to stay in this tent. It was maybe 3 meters. It was even less than the caravan. That's why when we got the caravan, we were so happy because the caravan is bigger than the tent. So as a family with 4 people, like me and my brother and my parents, it was not enough. And I'm a single daughter and my brother is a guy. We didn't want to sleep together. And my mom and my dad, it was really frustrated. And then the next day, I asked them that I can't do that. It's really not good. I don't want to stay this life. They told my uncle and he asked for one more tent. And they gave us the tent because I was wounded. So here, when you are wounded, when you have something with your health, they will deal with you as a special man. So they gave me the tent because I was sick. I can't live with my family. I need clean space. I don't have to stay. I can't live this life. That's why they gave us another tent. My brother wanted to protect me from guides, from people, and they created it and designed it this perfect way. So my mom just came and slept with me. And then we had 2 tents, one for me and my mom, and the other one for my brother and my dad.
Thank you for listening to the second part of Ataa's 4-part series. In the next episode, we follow her into life inside the camp, where she navigates not only displacement, but also womanhood, motherhood, and the quiet strength it takes to lead a family alone. The Archive Speaks is produced by the Refugee Archive, a small team of women across the globe brought together through advocacy and intention. This is a community-rooted project. That means we need you, the listeners, to help shape what this becomes. If you want to support our cause, subscribe to our newsletter, The Refugee Archive, on Substack, because when more of us listen, more of them speak. Are you a refugee woman with a story to share? Are you an archivist, academic, or advocate with research to contribute? Get in touch and email us on substack.all.hands@gmail.com. You can learn more about the Archive Speaks and the Refugee Archive in the show notes.